All right. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of renting a house from a local slumlord before, but, well, it's not as fun as it sounds. Now, most of you know that me and my friend Brewer lived in a crap-hole duplex way back in the day. I've only told 4,000 stories about it throughout my time on the YouTube. Well, this duplex just so happened to be owned by an old guy named Mark the Landlord. That was his real name. That's how we referred to him. That's how we made out the money orders when we paid him rent. He was Mark the Landlord, the most landlordish landlord of all the landlords. Now, I'm not going to say that Mark the Landlord was a piece of shit, but, well, actually, you know what? That is indeed what I'm gonna say. Mark the Landlord was a piece of shit. He was a greedy, mean asshole, and he sure as hell didn't enjoy renting out his place to a couple of punk-ass kids. I mean, granted, I can't really blame the guy. Brewer and I were definitely not the most ideal tenants he could have. Hey, you wanna go fucking race bowling balls down the stairs? Oh boy, do I! Boom, 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 boom. Ah, my fucking leg! So knowing that we were indeed incompetent assholes, Mark the Landlord was always trying to stop by spur of the moment to make sure we weren't trashing the place. Now, you might be sitting there like, well, according to Chapter 5321 in the revised Ohio Rental Code, landlords need to give a 24-hour notice before entering the premises. Yeah, well, not fucking Mark the Landlord, that's for sure. His ass just shit all over Chapter 5321 of the Ohio Revised Rental Code. Hell, he'd call me up when he was en route to the duplex, and he'd be like, hey, it's Mark the Landlord. I'm swinging by to make sure the duplex is clean and you guys aren't fucking my shit up. Okie dokie, that's fine with me. Everything is definitely spick and span here, that's for sure. So as soon as I hang up the phone, I'm like, fucking red alert, the Gestapo's on its way. And then me and Brewer run throughout the house like it's the beginning of a Home Alone movie, trying to make the place look as presentable as possible. 5 minutes later, Mark the Landlord busts through the door like, what the hell's going on in here? Do I smell smoke? Why the hell are you guys so sweaty? Are you guys smoking cigarettes in here? And what the fuck happened to the stairs down here? Damn near looks like somebody threw a goddamn bowling ball down it. We have no idea, do we, Brewer? Nope, sure don't. But it was probably that piece of shit neighbor that lives downstairs. So Mark the Landlord would then inspect our living situations like he was a goddamn social worker trying to take away our kid. Me and Brewer would just follow behind him like obedient children. How'd we do, Papa? Are we good little boys? Now, it was imperative during these little Gestapo inspections that we kept Mark the Landlord's ass away from the back door. And that is because behind the back door was where we kept all of our fucking garbage. Now, you might be sitting there like, why the hell did you guys keep your garbage there? Well, you see, Brewer and I were kind of, what's that word? Oh, that's right, lazy pieces of shit. And when we would go to take out the garbage, we would just throw it out on the landing behind the back door, and we'd just deal with it later. Well, we're not gonna fucking take every single garbage bag downstairs and put it in the garbage can. What are we, fucking training for the Iron Man competition? Well, lo and behold, the nightmare scenario happens one day when Mark the Landlord's over inspecting our shit. All of a sudden, abruptly, he's just like, well, I guess the place looks good enough, so I can't evict you assholes yet. I'll just head out the back door. See you later. All right then, Mark, you piece of shit. You have a good day. We'll see you next time. Wait a minute, the back door? Oh, god damn it, don't go out the back door. This dude opens the back door, and what he sees is not only a week's worth of garbage out there, but 2 weeks of garbage out there because we forgot about fucking garbage day the week prior. Oh man, how did all that fucking garbage get there? Must have been that piece of shit neighbor downstairs again, I tell you what. Now, I don't know if you've ever been face to face with your landlord and, verbally threatened with eviction before, but it's not nearly as fun as it sounds. Somehow we convinced Mark the Landlord that this was a one-time thing. Normally, we're good little boys. We fucking take the garbage downstairs. We train for the Iron Man. We do all that happy horse shit. And guess what? It'll never happen again. Thankfully, his ass didn't kick us out on the street that day. But needless to say, our little tenant-landlord relations were a little strained after that. Well, not too long after fucking #GarbageGate 2009 happened, things between us and Mark the Landlord became even worse. Because that's when Mark the Landlord started to have his crackhead brother come around and do some light maintenance to the duplex. Now, granted, I can't say this guy was a crackhead for sure. I mean, he didn't just come up to me and be like, hey, it's me, Mark's brother. You know, the crackhead. Anyways, I'm here to put up a new eaves trough. No, he didn't do anything like that, but he was sketchy as hell, to say the least. Well, on one particular day, Mark's crackhead brother is in the basement dicking around with the furnace, and right next to that furnace is a bunch of boxes filled with my old toys from childhood. Well, the next day I go down in the basement, and all of those boxes have suddenly vanished. So I go ahead and give Mark the Landlord a nice little telephone call. Hello, Shitty Rental Properties. This is Mark the Landlord speaking. Yeah, hi, Mark. I'm pretty sure your crackhead brother just stole a bunch of my stuff. What are you talking about? He didn't steal anything, and he's not a crackhead, all right? He's a fucking pillhead, and there's a big difference. So get it straight. Yeah, well, a bunch of boxes by the furnace are not here anymore. Well, he did say he threw a bunch of garbage out because it was cluttered up around the furnace. That bunch of garbage was my childhood, you slumlord piece of shit! Yeah, that's right. All my toys from my childhood were now gone. We're talking my sweet Fisher-Price castle, my mini football helmet collection, my goddamn neglected-ass generic Tamagotchi, all probably taken to a pawn shop somewhere so Mark's crackhead brother could get his next fix. Hey, how much can I get for this 2D from the Facts of Life lunchbox? Oh, fuck, dude, I don't know, $1.50? You got a deal. Well, after that fiasco, me and Brewer start thinking maybe it's time to move out of the duplex and onto greener pastures. Surely we can find a better fucking rental agreement somewhere with some nicer stipulations. Well, what finally pushed us over the edge was when one day I went to go take a shower and realized I couldn't because the water was shut off. Now, if you've seen my being broke video that I've made 4,000 years ago, you know that us getting utilities turned off was basically a fucking lifestyle for us back then. However, what I failed to mention in that video was that the water bill was never our responsibility. Per Chapter 5321 Ohio Rental Code, a landlord's obligated to supply running water. But of course we know how Mark the landlord feels about Chapter 5321 now, don't we? But regardless, I give him another phone call, and I'm like, hey Mark the landlord, the most peculiar thing just happened. We don't have any running water. And Mark the landlord's response was, oh yeah, I know. The water company said they were doing some work on the pipes, so they had to turn the water off. Now, at the time, that seemed reasonable to me. I mean, I was just an 18-year-old kid at the time. I didn't know dick about shit. I was like, fine, that's all right, no more water, no big deal. Well, imagine my surprise when a few days go by and we still don't have any running water. Yeah, well, that's pretty rough living if you ask me. I mean, we're fucking dumping flat Mountain Dew into our toilet just so we could flush our shit down. What is this, Pakistan? So I called the water company to see if they could give me some sort of a timetable for when our water's gonna be back on, and that's when they decided to inform me that we have an unpaid bill, and that's why our water was shut off in the first place. So I hang up the phone, slightly perplexed, and then it dawns on me. That motherfucker lied to me. So once again, I call up my good buddy Mark the landlord, and I'm like, hey Mark, guess what? Just got off the phone with the water company. According to them, you're a lying piece of shit. All right, take it easy. Look, I was gonna pay the water bill tomorrow, all right? It was high as hell. You guys keep flushing the toilets over there. What do you guys got, fucking Crohn's disease? Well, for me, that was it. That was the last straw. I can deal with Gestapo inspections and crackheads stealing my Pez dispensers, but if I gotta fill a toilet bowl up with Pepsi products just to take a shit, well, that's where I draw the goddamn line. Me and Brewer packed up our shit, and a few weeks later, we moved on to greener pastures. And by greener pastures, I mean an even shittier house with, believe it or not, an even shittier landlord. But if you want to hear that story, you're just gonna have to sit around and wait for fucking Bad Landlord Part 2, Marvin, the piece of shit landlord. Because that is an entire separate story. The end.
brewstew.com